It's now time to take a look at what's grabbing headlines in the world papers. France Filmno is back with us. Hey, France. We're going to start stateside, and this Amtrak's train crash getting a lot of attention there.
That's right. It's a huge story in the U.S. Media. As you can imagine, there's a photo, an aerial photo of the aftermath of the crash on the front page of the Wall Street Journal today. So this is the derailment of the Washington to New York train, killed 7 people. Investigators are still trying to figure out just what caused the crash. A lot of focus being put on speed. If we take a look at an article in the Washington Post today, according to the National Transport Safety Board, the train approached this very sharp bend at 106 miles per hour. That's about 160 kilometers per hour. That's twice the authorized speed. According to this article, the engineer applied the emergency brake, but it was too late, and so therefore the engine and all 7 cars derailed.
At first glance, it seems like human error. At the same time, no real explanation of why he would be going so fast, and some people are questioning infrastructure on the rails.
That's right. A lot of criticism of a lack of investment in infrastructure today. If we take a look at the editorial in the New York Times today, you can see they're talking about how Amtrak needs help. Excuse me. Yesterday, according to the New York Times, while this wreckage lay on the tracks, the Republican majority in Congress actually decided to cut Amtrak's budget by $260 million. And the New York Times is very critical of this cut in Amtrak's budget. It says that people in countries like France, Japan, Brazil, and Spain, they can all depend on their government to finance and especially improve their railway systems. And according to the New York Times, American lawmakers are going stubbornly in the wrong direction. This goes not only for railway networks, but also roads, bridges, and tunnels. If we look at another article in the New York Times today, this is by a piece by the Democrat mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, and the Republican mayor of Oklahoma City, Mick Cornett. You can see they write this joint piece: "Let our cities move, our transportation system, once the envy of the world, is in jeopardy. It's outdated, overburdened, and it's really need of repair. It's not meeting enough to meet the current needs, and certainly not the future needs." So you can see there are these 2 mayors, both a Republican and a Democrat. Both of them are calling for more investment.
Both on the same page. Well, let's move to the UK now. And after a decade-long secrecy battle, letters that Prince Charles wrote to government ministers in 2004 and 2005 have now been released.
That's right. These are the so-called Black Spider memos. They were released yesterday, as you said, after this 10-year legal battle, a legal battle that cost taxpayers £400,000. You can see the front page of The Independent here, the unacceptable face of the monarchy, how the Prince of Wales tried to influence ministers. I'll explain this very weird picture on the front page of The Independent in just a little bit, but according to The Independent, these letters really reveal the extent of royal meddling. The Prince Charles put direct pressure on ministers to change government policy on the bias of his own personal beliefs, according to The Independent.
Now, The Guardian also looking at how Prince Charles might have had to influence government policy.
That's right. A very wide range of influences coming from the Prince of Wales, including very serious issues like education and the war in Iraq at the time, but also more particular issues, and you can see a closer look here in The Guardian. Talks about the strangest topics he lobbied ministers on. So, for instance, he tried to lobby ministers on restoring huts in the Antarctic, badger culls, and this is where the picture comes in, Patagonian toothfish. In 2004, he wrote to the then Environment Minister, "I particularly hope that the illegal fishing of the Patagonian toothfish will be high on your list of priorities." Now, lots of papers are outraged by the content of these letters. If we take a look at the editorial in The Independent, they talk about the Prince of Wales, but not the Prince of Wales as in the Prince of Wales, the Prince of whining. The Black Spider memos put an end to the ludicrous idea that the British monarchy is politically neutral. You can see there the Prince of Wales. And finally, if we take a look at a cartoon in The Independent, it shows how all this has really put the prince in quite a tight spot. You can see here he's caught in his own web through these memos.
Okay, well, finally, let's take a word now. North Korea, Tuesday evening, we got this news that the former defense minister had been executed. Still getting a lot of coverage. Still getting a lot of coverage, a very mysterious case. If we take a look at an article in Newsweek, take a closer look at just why he was executed. This is Hyun Young-chol, put to death following charges of treason, but you can also see he was accused of napping during an event
at which Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, attended. Lots of papers are taking a look at how this is part of a trend. This is the Daily Beast. It shows that the young dictator is continuing in his father's tradition of executing people in his inner circle. You can see they're talking about cruel and unusual executions. Since he came to power, about 70 top brass officials have been put to death, including 15 reportedly just this year. This is all part of a strategy to keep his leadership a handle on power, if you will. But this might be a dangerous game. If we take a look at an article in The Guardian, it talks about how trigger-happy Kim Jong-un is actually playing a risky game with all these purges. You can see The Guardian asked this question: how much more arbitrary cruelty will his party tolerate before it dissents?
I have to say, with this particular news filtering out, again, it's South Korea reported it, but anti-aircraft gun to kill somebody, I have to say, that sounds a bit strange. Anyway, all might not be revealed, seeing that it's coming from North Korea. Florence Villeneuve, thanks indeed for that with the International Press Review.